Greetings and good morning from the scenic shores of Lake Champlain. I haven't seen Champy yet, but I'll be sure to update all the cryptozoologist followers when I do see him, because he is in fact in here somewhere. We're in northern Vermont, on the western, basically the northwestern corner of the socio-political region, geographic region, whatever you want to call it, known as New England. Looking out across probably about 13 miles, I'll get the actual number there, of open water. You're going to see the Adirondacks in the state of New York. Essentially, that's Mordor. What we're going to do, I can already tell you're getting worked up here watching this. You're like, okay, not a single plant in focus right now. We'll put our geology hats on for a second here, because geology here is fascinating, very interesting, and very different from the rest of the region. So, as I've said numerous times, the vast majority of New England is over acidic bedrock, various types of metamorphic rocks, and lots of granite. It's very acidic. The soil is very thin. It's very poor in nutrients, and functionally, most of eastern New England, the most populous parts of New England, are all in a coastal plain. So now, a couple days ago, we were up on Mount Mansfield, 4,000 feet elevation in the north central part of the state. We're actually just as far north now, but where we're at, we're actually up a bit of a ways, because we're up on a beautiful cliff, and I'll show you in a second what we're looking down on. But that water there out in front of you, that beautiful Lake Champlain water, is only about 100 feet above sea level. Where we live in eastern Mass, or where I live in eastern Mass, is about 130 feet, 160 feet. Generally speaking, that the upland areas around Boston are one thing. The vast majority of eastern New England is pretty low and stretches out for pretty far. It's a coastal plain, all right? So where we're at right now is a region known as the Champlain lowlands. Now, those mountains over there in the distance get up into that alpine terrain. I'm not sure exactly what I'm looking at. I never really spent much time in the Adirondacks, but I do know offhand Mount Marcy, the tallest mountain in New York, is just about, just a little over 5,000 feet. So you're getting up there over there. Brief tangent, the Adirondacks over there, for the unindoctrinated, are neither part of the Appalachian cultural region, nor are they part of the Appalachian geographic region. What's happening over there is completely unrelated to anything in the Green Mountains and Taconics, to anything in the White Mountains, to anything in the Berkshires, to anything in the Southern Appalachians. What you're looking at over there are actually mountains that are still currently being uplifted. Obviously, that takes tens of millions of years. They've still been subject to the relatively recent phenomenon of glaciation, which has shaped them quite significantly. But they are. That is a 1 billion-year-old sedimentary rock that is currently being uplifted over there. Whereas over here in New England, you got the White Mountains, which are intrusive granite plutons, and then you've got pretty much everything else, which is just metamorphic rock that was uplifted, hundreds of millions of years ago, in the various orogenies that built the Appalachians. So the Adirondacks over there have nothing to do with any of the geology of the Appalachian Mountains. I just want to clarify that. So why does that bring us to Lake Champlain? Well, this at one point was a massive glacier just right in front of us. It was an inland sea for a period of time, and then even before that, during various parts of history, this has been a vast inland sea here. So what that's done is that's provided a lot of sedimentation, and indeed there is a lot of sedimentary rock. So now we're coming back full circle back to the plants. So most of New England is acidic. Lake Champlain and its associated lowlands are highly basic. There is a very high pH bedrock here, which you do not get anywhere in New England. And as you will talk about, I'm probably going to shoot a couple episodes here, as you will talk about, there's quite a unique plant community that grows around the shores of these lakes. Low elevation, the climate here is significantly warmer than areas east and west of it. In fact, probably warmer than some areas in like central Mass. I'll put up that little climate map. You can see the warm continental climate sneaks up right up into the Burlington area, makes it a lot more amicable for farming and whatnot. So you can imagine, to the east of us, there's 4,000-foot mountains. To the west of us, there's 5,000-foot mountains. This area is going to catch a lot of water. This is only 100 feet above sea level. You can access the ocean both through the Richelieu River to the north, through Quebec up into the St. Lawrence Seaway, and to the south through the Hudson River. And for those of you who are familiar with that area, Hudson River is, of course, a fjord, allegedly. I guess some people don't consider it one, but by and large, you're pretty safe going off that logic. So, just think of it this way. This was, Hudson River was the cork, and then this massive lake and valley associated with it was the bottom, if I'm making sense. So, you've got some real cool plant communities we're going to check out. On this cliff right here, I can just show you something real interesting. Let me go down there, give you an idea how far up we are. This resembles a lot of what the Great Lakes look like, and indeed, this specific rock that we are on here is dolomitic limestone, dolostone. It's compressed limestone functionally. Highly basic, very high pH. It's been cooked a little bit. You can see some of the layers on that stone down there. This is like the same type of rock that makes up a lot of the shores of the Great Lakes, especially Lake Superior, although this is not a Great Lake, nor is it actually even associated, I'll double check this, with the geologic events that created the Great Lakes, although both do have that heavy geologic influence. Sounds like some sort of plane's taking off behind me, or maybe that's just the wind. I'm not sure. I think it's an airport near here. So anyway, first two plants of the day. Now that you got our geology, we take our geology hats off for a little bit. You've got beautiful Thuja occidentalis, which only really needs the high pH stuff. Only really grows in swamps in like northern New Hampshire. That's where I'm seeing it most. But up here in Vermont, you get it various other places. There's that nice bark there. Down in Massachusetts, we get the Cypress swamps. Up here in the north, they get the Thuja swamps. And then same family, Cupressaceae, redwood family, different genus. This is Juniperus virginiana, much more widespread tree, and doesn't really need the high pH bedrock. Just kind of needs open, windy exposure. Loves the headlands. Loves sandy areas. Cape Cod, you'll see this widespread tree actually. Somewhat windy. So we got some of the cool headland trees here. We're gonna head back to the woods. I already caught pretty much everything I was looking for except for one real weirdo, and we'll see if we can still find that. But yeah, say goodbye to the lake shore. We'll be shooting along the shore for quite a while today. In any case, that's it for an intro. Let's go look at a few more plants. Yeah, how lovely is that? You probably couldn't tell much just because I didn't have a macro lens on. This is the Thuja, so flat alligator scale-like leaves on this plant. Over the juniper. From a distance, similar, same family after all, same subfamily even, but those needles are doing something different. The fruits look different. I can't find any fruits on this. I'm guessing they've built it clean. But the juniper here is going to have those little blue berries, which aren't berries at all, they're cones. It's much more typical looking little yellow cones usually. The Thuja can also grow, though not as a large tree, a bit bigger than Juniperus virginiana. Anyway, let's go see what else is going on. Nice grove of it. Real nice grove of the Thuja back there. Loves the cliffs. Really likes the cliff habitats. Kind of cool. Okay, in front of us here we have yet another species of Solidago. So, you move around New England, you get quite a few species in this genus around, but some regional variation does occur. Right in front of us here, this is Solidago caesia. This is the blue stem goldenrod, and I mean, it's got a little bit of blue to the stem there, but that's not what I would consider to be the key defining characteristic of this. I'm going to back this camera up just a bit, give you an idea of the stature. This is another one of those cool shade-tolerant goldenrods, which you don't get many of. 1 second while I unsanctimoniously, if that's even the right word for this situation, just manipulate my tripod. The actual interesting thing about this goldenrod, in my opinion, is the overall form factor. So Solidago canadensis, which is like the super common one, will grow nice and tall, has leaves that do look somewhat similar to that, but not quite the same. These are, I guess there's some dentation on the margins as you go down, but the venation looks different. You typically, with Solidago canadensis, you get a few parallel veins across the leaf. With this, you've just got one down the center, but I'm beating around the bush here, no pun intended. The key thing with this species is just that, is the fact, I'm trying to use the autofocus more, but sometimes I just cut myself off. It's the fact that you've got numerous inflorescences emerging down the stem here. Solidago canadensis is not generally known for that. And then also you can see these individual capitula are rather large. So let's get in there. Let's take a look at some of the individual capitula there and just see what's going on real quick. I'm sure everybody loves whenever I take the time to key out the Solidago. I just never have seen this one before, so I was kind of excited to check it out. Autofocus is going to cooperate. Yeah, those ray florets are quite a bit bigger, quite a bit showier than you would expect to see on Solidago canadensis. This also seems to have different phenology, blooming a bit later this season. So, no clue. You get this various places in New England, but it just seems to be more abundant out in the western corner. Also, in the aster family here, you get a nice little heart-leafed aster, Symphyotrichum cortifolium. If you're going to do any botanizing in New England in the fall, you got to get familiar with Symphyotrichum, you got to get familiar with Solidago. So we'll see what's going on here. Anything else, quite a few things to check out too. I'm saving the most boring thing. If you think asters are boring, just wait till the end, because we're going to go check out an endemic species of grass, which, I mean, that's pretty cool in my opinion. Okay, now I didn't bother specifically looking this one up, but I can only imagine that what you see in front of you is a Symphyotrichum novae-angliae. Alright, I said it. I said you gotta, if you're gonna be in New England this time of year, you gotta know your Symphyotrichums, you gotta know your Solidago, and indeed this is the iconic combination here. This is the yellow and gold, or the purple and gold, the aster and goldenrod. So Symphyotrichum novae-angliae is not endemic to New England or anything. It's actually quite common around the prairies, and we'll get into this a little today, probably in a different video. So come back just in case. But here in this western edge of New England, it's not really like a lot of other places in New England. It's calcareous bedrock. It's very low elevation, even for New England. You know, like we were explaining before, you've got the coastal plain situation to the southeast of here, which is low, but this is almost even lower than that. Some very unique geologic and meteorologic conditions make this region a bit more similar, just a bit, to areas in the Midwest where you do actually get authentic prairies. So I will just pull my camera back. I have no other cool quips about Symphyotrichum novae-angliae other than the fact that it is beautiful, highly sought after, one of the most widely planted native flowers in New England, treasured globally actually for its beauty, and to think that someone could mistake this for like a roadside weed or something is beyond me. So obviously thin purple ligules there. This guy over, the phyllories are quite long, quite elaborate. If this is not Symphyotrichum novae-angliae, it's probably Symphyotrichum novae-belgii, a New York aster. There's a couple species that can look really similar. There's a third one, swamp aster, can even look similar, but this is not the right habitat for that. It's one or the other. New York or New England aster. I'll key it out and I'll make sure I get that correct. But as I was alluding to earlier, it is a bit hard to mistake that blue stem goldenrod, Solidago caesia, for this goldenrod, which is Solidago canadensis, the common, aggressive, big, robust species. Hopefully you can make out the fact that, actually this guy will be good to look at here, those flowers don't start until the top of the actual plant, and they arch out in these beautiful splays of golden flowers. The individual florets themselves, or not the individual florets, the individual capitula themselves too, are individually much less showy than they were on Solidago caesia. You've also got, probably what we've been smelling, this guy here, Ambrosia artemisiafolia. I think it's just the common one. This is ragweed. So people will walk through this and they'll think that the Solidago and the aster are causing their fall allergies because that's what they see. No, it's these flowers right here, also an aster, but highly reduced capitula on this. These are all little flower heads right here. And unlike Symphyotrichum and Solidago, which are entomophilous plants, meaning that they are pollinated by insects, Ambrosia, the ragweeds are in fact wind pollinated, hence why they cause you your fall allergies. That said, still a really cool plant, but we'll cut it off here for now, and we'll go check out. I gotta go find this bladdernut. I've never seen anything like it. It's the only species in its family, so I'm hoping we can go find it. It won't be blooming, but we can go see the fruits. Look pretty cool. Anyway, we'll leave you there. Hopefully that I'm correct and that is actually Symphyotrichum novae-angliae, but I mean it's unmistakably one of the big purple Symphyotrichums. Novae-angliae, Nova-belgii. There's only a handful, you know. I just took a little look and I found out these are definitely Symphyotrichum novae-angliae, the New England aster. Symphyotrichum nova-belgii, those ligulate florets, they're a little bit paler, they're not quite so robustly purple. They're a bit smaller too. And as you flip this guy over, which I didn't do and I should have, I did flip over the filaries. The filaries on this, you can see they keep spreading all the way up to the top on a New York aster. From what it looks like, they're only ascending from the base there, and they get more oppressed as you go up. I also neglected to show you this cool plant over here. This is a lovely meadow. You get all sorts of good stuff. People probably just accuse of being weeds. But you know me, you know how much I love the Eups. I'm not going to go in there right now, but you got Eupatorium. Looks like, based off of those leaves there, Eupatorium perfoliatum. Kind of hard to mistake, although I did actually almost mistake it for a different species. Or vice versa. I thought a different species was this, but it wasn't. Anyway, that's a common one. Just nice stuff to have around. All asters in here. You got Eupatorium, you got Solidago, you got the Symphyotrichum, you got the Ambrosia. This family is very, very successful in the fall, everywhere in North America seemingly. Relatively few of these bloom in the spring. Most of the native ones, most of the impressive showy ones, some of the packers are pretty cool in the spring, but I digress. You've also got this growing everywhere, this little Polygonaceae member here, a little Persicaria. No clue what species, probably not one of the native ones. It looks like one of the numerous East Asian or Eurasian species, but we got some native ones too that are really cool. Anyway, that's enough of that. So just to give you an idea of some of what goes on in areas like this, that plant down there is a member of the geranium family. That's Geranium robertium, herb Robert, whatever the heck it's called. It grows, I think, mostly all over the northern hemisphere where you get high pH bedrock. And indeed, you can see it's not growing in the duff anywhere, but instead coming right out of this dolostone, this dolomitic limestone here. And it'll grow right on top of that. So long as it's got a little mossy mat. In fact, where I live, albeit not dolostone or anything really that impressive, there was a little lime kiln, and you see this growing all over the calcareous rock faces. So you get the idea. You have certain types of rock. You got to have certain types of soil chemistry to get certain things growing, and that is here in abundance in Lake Champlain lowlands. You also get some nice marble here. We're going to go look at a tree later today that is a marble specialist that is very rare in New England, but quite common out in the Midwest, where you do get just a ton of sedimentary rock, high pH rock, just huge swaths of this country are underladen by limestone, which is what makes some of common things in New England, like the pink lady slipper and the ghost pipe, so abundant there, and what makes, you know, certain other things that are common in the Midwest rare in New England. I hope I'm conveying that idea. That's kind of the main premise of this video, actually. And then also to go look at a cool endemic grass, which I'm saving for the end. But I think we're going to go find the bladdernut right now. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so we'll see how well this works. The thing hanging in front of you there, ungracefully, that's the one fruit I was able to find on this thing. You can see why they call it a bladdernut, hopefully. Oh, the zoom's going to be... This is like the worst possible condition to film. And there we go, that'll work. So 3 little lobed fruit here that's all inflated and hollow. I guess it contains the nuts. This thing looks like it's been picked clean, but this is Staphylea, trifolia. There you go, that's going to work real nice. So this is the fruit. I'll put a picture of what the flowers look like because they're quite beautiful. Now, this is in the family Staphyleaceae, in the order Cupressaceae, which there's really... another one of those things where there's nothing really like it native anywhere to New England or really, you know, to the temperate regions. I think this is mostly an order of tropical plants, and in fact a family of mostly tropical plants. You got a Staphylea species here in the northeast of, or actually just broadly in the eastern U.S. called Staphylea trifolia. If I get that incorrect, that will correct myself. And then in Europe, they get one too. Staphylea, I think, is the temperate ones, and everything else in the family is tropical. Everything else in the order, I've never heard of any of the other species or families in that order, Cupressaceae. Trifolia, because it's getting, you know, it's doing the whole. God, I'm actually in the plant basically right now, so it's kind of juggling things. I'll go down there and I'll show you what these look like because they're pretty plants, but they're not, you know, super standout. So you can see there's one of the 3-parted leaves, a little bit of serration there. They have opposite leaves down the branch. Parts of 3 almost looks like poison ivy, but the serrations there aren't exactly what you expect to see from poison ivy, even if it does have that long rachis in the middle. So let me get down from here. I'll show you what it looks like from the side of the trail. Okay, so of course I come down off the tree, or come down out of the bush, and there's a few more of those fruits hanging right up there. So this is what the plant looks like from the side of the trail. Actually, that part snapped off. It's a nice low arching shrub. So understory plant, clearly does not mind the shade, and they're just kind of dotting the side of this trail here. Found a few more fruits on the thing, but yeah. Oh, something's running through the... Oh, it's a little bird. So Staphyleaceae, Staphylea, trifolia. Hopefully I'm not getting that wrong. The nuts are apparently... Something's coming to forage them because this thing's been more or less picked clean. Got that nice understory shrub growth habit. What's the bark look like? I didn't even get a good picture of the bark. Let's get in there and see real quick. Yeah, there's the bark on the thing. Nice and smooth. So these could grow, you know, to be pretty big shrubs from the looks of it. Beautiful white plumes of flowers that I'll have to borrow a picture of to show you. I'll put that up right about now. And then these named for these so-called bladder nuts that hang off the thing in fall. So that's a cool one. You can see this in other places in New England. This isn't super restricted to western New England, to this area, but it is significantly more common out in this part of the state, and you do need like some sort of high pH outcrop to get the thing to really get going there. Yeah, those leaves though, if you didn't know any better, that looks so much like poison ivy. That dentation is, or serration is just a bit different. So anyway, we're gonna see some hog peanut, and I think the only thing we have left is the endemic grass. I'll put that at the end of the video. So if you want to stay tuned for that, I'd be appreciative. Hey, so we'll go from bladdernut to groundnut, or hog peanut. Groundnut's a different thing. That's Apio. So that's growing here too. We don't have to look at that. This is oh geez, I forget the scientific name here. I'll have to put it there. It's got a weird one. But just understand, this is actually a true nut, a true fabid in the family Fabaceae. Leaves on this really closely resemble poison ivy as well, but that tridentate, that tripart leaf thing, or just odd compound, odd pinnate leaves in general, are quite common in Fabaceae. In fact, it is a synapomorphy for the family. These are the flowers here. You can see they're developing into peas. But I do believe, and I will have to correct myself, I didn't expect to see this here flowering. I've seen this plant numerous times. I just never bothered to cover it, because usually it's rather uncharismatic. You see the peas here. It's a tendriling vining plant, and those flowers really strongly resemble various species in the genus Vicia, like Vicia cracca, the tufted vetches, or climbing vetches, whatever they're called, hairy vetches, a number of which are actually kind of problematic invasives, but this one's native. And the only other thing I was going to say, I believe this is one that will flower underground and will produce little, little nuts or little pods under there too. I could be mistaking that for something else. So, scientific name to follow, clarification on the underground flowers to follow, but real interesting one. It's got, these are on their way out, but the fresh flowers are really pretty. To my knowledge, this isn't really one with any sort of ornamental applications currently, but yeah, unmistakable papilionaceous flowers down in there, unmistakable pea/legume flowers. So that's a cool one. Okay, we're getting ready to wrap up here, but this is a narrow endemic species of grass. Now, that depends on who you want to talk to. So, in the flora novae-angliae, this is anomalous. Hang on a second. I got it pulled up right here. Oh, Ammophila breviligulata, subspecies Champlainensis. Some people have this as Ammophila champlainensis, just simply Champlain beach grass. Now this is, as far as the flora novae-angliae goes, so the official ruling on New England plants, a subspecies of American beach grass, which is completely endemic to the sandy shores and dunes of Lake Champlain, which is, where we are. So now, two factors differentiate Ammophila breviligulata from Ammophila breviligulata subspecies Champlainensis, or for the sake of this video, we'll just call it we'll say American beach grass and Champlain beach grass, even though neither of those are really easy. None of that's really easy to say. Now, the American beach grass, Ammophila breviligulata, is a common beach grass, stabilizes the dunes. Out there in Massachusetts, where we're from, they actually require people to have it planted on their property if they have beachfront property, because it does a great job stabilizing dunes. This subspecies acts in much the same way. Now here's where things get a little complicated, okay? Now, they are grasses. Sorry, I've been having horrible luck with the battery. I don't even remember where I was in the middle of that whole rant. But, okay, so yeah, so you have American beach grass, great at stabilizing dunes. It's serving the same purpose here. However, one would imagine that a beach grass, an oceanic beach grass, would be a highly salt tolerant to salt-loving plant. Whereas Lake Champlain behind us here, that is pure, beautiful, lovely, fresh water. So now, where are the differences? What are the differences? So, Ammophila breviligulata, just subspecies breviligulata, flowers later. And indeed, if this is your first time finding out that grasses are flowering plants, albeit they have highly reduced and specialized floral morphology, which we'll get into in just a second. So now the phenology of the two are different. Breviligulata, subspecies breviligulata, the one that grows up near the oceans, would be blooming right about now, late July through September, whereas this species blooms June through July. So obviously there's some overlap there, but we can also get into the flower morphology, and indeed this is the inflorescence here. And what I want you to do, come on. So I want you to take a look at those things that look like teeth. Those are the glooms, all right? Those are, I can't remember if they're functionally the sepals or if they're functionally the petals. So you have a difference in phenology, and on subspecies breviligulata, these would be a form that we consider to be acuminate, and here they are simply acute. There's no sort of indentation to them. They are merely coming to a stable point. I'll have to put up the difference between acute and acuminate there, just so you get the idea. It's a very subtle difference, but then again, this entire family is a family of very subtle differences. I'm going to get into them. So you can see here's some of that inflorescence. Not a small grass by any means. Everything hanging off there, those look like the burnt out, that would have been juicy, stamens a few months ago, ripe with pollen, are now all coming off of my hand. Those might even be, if not the seeds themselves. I'm not sure. I'm not actually sure. Those could have been the ovaries. They all look empty. They're like dust now. So I have no reason to suspect that this is subspecies Breviliculata. I wholeheartedly believe this is subspecies Champlainensis. In fact, around the corner from here, they have it roped off with a nice patch of this that was missing all of the infructescences, or missing most of the infructescences, I should say, but was nonetheless growing quite robustly. There's some more back there. It's a real beautiful grass, endemic. Even if you don't consider it its own species, which I mean I'm always going to root for it to be, I'm going to put it on there as Ammophilus, Ammophilus, I can't figure out what sounds better, Champlainensis, but whatever. You could tell I'm not used to dealing with the grasses, so very interesting subspecies, and it's an interesting grass just on its own. So much poison ivy on this property here. There's some sort of Xanthium down there we're supposed to go see. Take pictures of every Xanthium you see. That's what my buddy said, because there's supposed to be an undescribed species, or an undescribed subspecies of this here. There's an American species, which I'm guessing this is, Strumosus, the rough cocklebur, and then there's an introduced species from Eurasia. Only 2 of them. Those are in the aster family too. So anyway, I'll get some B-roll of the beach here, just to serve as the intro. We'll say goodbye to this fascinating Champlain. I'm going to get it right at some point or another. Beach grass. We're going to head off to our next location. Take it easy, folks. Oh yeah, one other quick thing. I misspoke before when I said hog peanut, ground peanut. This is the ground nut right here. This is Apios americana. Flowers are long gone off the thing at this point in the year, though, unfortunately. Another member of the family, Fabaceae. This one has odd pinnate leaves instead of the tripart ones, but same family doing the same thing, and we'll cut it off there. Take it easy. You can see over here they got the little thing out for the kids, so that the kids can know. You know what I mean? And this patch over here is cordoned off. That they show. Yeah, you can see. There's what it looks like. And they say Champlain beach grass, Calamagrostis Ammophila Breviliculata Champlainensis. So they have it here as a subspecies, and they talk about, I can read you the nice thing, Champagne beach grass. I'm doing the stupid. It's not my accent. I just think it's funny, but you get the idea. It's the freaking. It's been isolated from coastal populations since the retreated glaciers. Yada yada yada. 10 to 11,000 years ago, and it's just speaking to the reason why it has diverged from only 2 in Vermont. Geez, most are on the New York side. Okay, I knew it was restricted to the northern half of the thing, and also they say and Lake Ontario, so that's controversial. They think that Lake Ontario population is actually the core subspecies Breviliculata. So I got a buddy who's really into grasses and stuff who can speak more to this and correct me if I'm wrong. I'll run this all by them. But you see, here's a much more robust patch. It's also explaining the fact that since this is probably speciating right now, since it got cut off of the oceanic populations, it's doing most of its reproduction vegetatively via rhizomes. It's not getting the seed around as prolifically as its coastal relative. So that's all that. I don't see any of the inflorescences through here though, which is interesting to me, but maybe they just get mowed down, or I guess they are here. They're just significantly more reduced than the ones on the other side. That looks a little bit different. Who knows? I'm not a grass expert. In any case, this has gone on entirely too long. And I got pictures of both, so hopefully we got the right one. Take it easy.